Hi, already seen some familiar faces. Nice to see some friendly faces. We are here together, all nice and cozy, so we're going to be pretty casual about this. Begin with, I just really want to sincerely thank the BC Centre for Palliative Care for inviting us here today. It is really an honor to be able to present, and to all of you who have taking time out for your day to spend with us. We respectfully acknowledge that the land we gather on is the unceded traditional territory, Comox First Nations, the Satluth, Zyla, Haixen, and Pentlach peoples, who are the traditional keepers of this land. The Comox Valley Hospice Society is intentional in its pursuit of culturally safe, anti-racist, diverse, and inclusive practices. This ongoing work is built into our program development and design and reflected in our policy and procedures. And it is definitely ongoing work that we are committed to. So, learning objectives, but I think we're just going to call it sharing objectives. So, what we'd like to share with you, we'd like to introduce you to some of our volunteer-led programs and activities. What we hope to illustrate is the intentional effort to network, partner, and create multiple and accessible pathways for people to engage with what we have to offer around anticipatory grief, bereavement, caregiver support, and community education. Our presentation will allow for plenty of time for questions and sharing at the end, but also feel free to ask questions or comments as we go along in the chat. Tara and Camilla will help bring to life the information that we are going to share in the slides. In developing new community-based programs and revisiting existing ones, we keep diversity and equity in mind and what is relevant to people at all stages of life. This includes looking for venues to host programs and events that are easily accessible by public transportation, that are in kind, that's always helpful, and that are sometimes a bit cheeky. For example, our Death Cafe is held in a lovely space in a funeral home, yet people still come. Our volunteers and regular group participants offer up unique opportunities. A participant in one of our support groups is part of a new FM radio station here in town, and he plans on hosting a regular spot with us folks at the end to explore the end of life and grief journey. When considering a new program or service, our volunteers, one of which I see right now, are ears on the ground, on the street. They help us to determine the needs in the community, along with conversations we have with other local service providers and those who have used our services. Our three-part Grief 101 program was created to help inform the community about the potential impacts of grief on the body, mind, and soul. It offers language and practical resources and works towards normalizing the conversation and building grief allyship. We also offer mobile mini Grief 101s as requested to allied health professionals in primary care clinics, long-term care, independent living facilities, basically whoever asks us. The advanced care planning workshops are delivered by a team of our volunteers and are offered to the general public and upon request for specific groups or organizations. And we recently developed an adapted ACP, a more experiential version for neurodivergent learners. We did it in collaboration with the clients of Community Living BC and in consultation with L'Arche, who supports adults with developmental delays and their caregivers. So Tara is going to share a little bit about our what we call Let's Plan workshop.
Hi, everyone. So just from the beginning, it became very clear how shockingly underrepresented individuals with developmental disabilities are when it comes to advanced care planning. And with that in mind, we really wanted to distill and drill down what brings an advanced care plan to life. So what is the most important things to you? And what we came up with really at the end of the day is what makes you smile and what brings you joy? And how can you use that information to inform your future healthcare decisions? And for the population that we're talking about here, there's a large part of how do you communicate this to your maybe public guardian or your healthcare representative or someone who's making the decisions on your behalf. And, you know, in our consultation with the self-advocate here in the Comox Valley, one of the things that he said is really important is bringing movement into. So our traditional advanced care plan is more with the PowerPoint, and you have all the legal forms and you go through it, and we bring it to life in a different way. But with this program, we really wanted to bring it to life in an experiential way. So we have dance breaks. We open it up with an icebreaker where everyone gets up and moves around if they can, but we have alternate ways to communicate for people if they can't. And when we talk about what brings you joy and what makes you smile, we're using a collage format to make that. And then as they're making the collage, our volunteer facilitators will go around and help practice having a conversation of, okay, what is in your collage? Why is this important to you? And at the end of the course, we have a booklet for everyone to take home to work through with their care representative if that person isn't at the session. And the booklet can go with them. They go to the hospital so that the hospital staff also know how to best care for these individuals. And one of the other things that was very important and became very clear to us is that we need to do a part two specifically for the guardians representatives, the people doing the paperwork, to actually have time to sit down and fill out this paperwork while also being able to ask questions. Otherwise, it very often won't get done. And so we're really excited to bring this to the Comox Valley because there is nothing like it here.
Thanks, Tara. So we look for opportunities to offer events throughout the community. And as mentioned, we jump at the chance for unique special collaborations. In 2025, we hosted a cultural conversations on death, dying, and grieving, bringing the public together with a panel of local spiritual leaders to share their practices, rituals, and philosophies. Just this April and May, we had the privilege of collaborating with our local art gallery, who was curating a multimedia exhibit on the grief journey photographer SD Holman. Camilla, can you describe what we offered for this collaboration?
It was very exciting. We were able to host some death cafes at the gallery a couple of afternoons during the exhibit. We did 2 mini grief 101 sessions. We also, thinking back to COVID times, we had developed self-guided nature wellness walks. So we had those available for attendees to pick up. And then, of course, we had some of our amazing volunteers offering a presence. There were a couple of key dates during the exhibit where they had a pianist accompanying the exhibit. And so we had volunteers there on those afternoons, plus some other times during the run. And we also installed a Before I Die wall. So you can see one right behind us here. The Before I Die is a global public art project that invites people to reflect on their lives and share their personal aspirations in public. Originally created by the artist Candy Chang after the death of a loved one, more than 5,000 walls have been created around the world. And our wall is a wall that was made by one of our volunteers, Cyril. He built them specifically for us. And they were put up in the community gallery space at our local art gallery. And he did them in 4 sections. And so we're going to hang one in our hospice area. And we have 3 extras to bring into different community events that we do. We try and be really proactive in our community. One of our hopes and goals is to increase awareness and education about what hospice is and hospice care is, and to open the conversation about death and dying. This is something we all have in common. So, hoping, yeah. So very exciting.
Yeah. And it's really fun to read some of these comments. Before I die, I want to play the piano. I want to accept death with grace. I want to have sex before I die. I want to eat puffer fish. So it was all over the map. So with that in mind, we're just going to take a few minutes and ask you to reflect on before I die, few words or statements. And I'm going to hand it over to Esther to bring up a Menti QR code. And so you can scan that QR code and put in the code number 253-13018, and you can add some of your words and we'll see it come up in a word cloud. It holds about 3 to 5 words, but you can enter multiple times. And if you're having trouble with the Menti, please feel free to put it in the chat and we can read them off of the chat. So take a few minutes before I die. I want to, and let's see this word cloud develop. So a few more responses coming in, but the ones that are repeated the most are the biggest. So travel is really big up there. And just reading one from the chat. Before I die, I hope to learn and share more knowledge about death, dying, and grieving. Go see a Broadway show. It's pretty cool. A few more responses coming in. Hug my children. Somebody liked to have sex before I die. Yeah. I'm pretty sure my husband would like that too. I see my children happy. Yes. See my grandchildren as adults. Travel to Iceland. Go through Europe. Have another dog. That's very lovely. Travel everywhere I can. Skydive. So I'm going to take them so to relax. Relax. Retire. Oh yeah. Some days. So you can see how it would be easy just to create your own before I die wall, really in any space. And I think what we saw when we were at the art gallery, people doing it, is I think there was a little bit of like, woo, at first. And then I think as more comments were written down, people felt more willing to contribute. And so that was really nice to see. Along with this wall, we also had, again, Cyril, our volunteer and handy carpenter, made a series of wooden shelves where we called it the memory wall. And we had some stones, so people could place the stones on certain levels of the shelves. They were like bars on the shelf. And then the pianist who accompanied Esty Holman, the artist, in this exhibit, with a beautiful grand piano, at the closing of the exhibit, she took where those rocks were placed on the bars and composed some music from that. So it truly was this beautiful interactive experience of the exhibit itself, but it was just this beautiful partnership with the art gallery and something that we felt very honored to be a part of. But again, we couldn't have done it without our volunteers. We had our volunteers there to greet people. We had our volunteers there to hand out Kleenexes, and we had our volunteers there just to create some safety for people. And I think that was really appreciated by the art gallery as well. So thank you for all your responses. Thank you for participating. I will take back the screen now, Esther. And here we go. Great. Well, thank you for doing that. So for the groups described today, we have a total of 55 volunteers involved. In addition to the core volunteer training of 30 hours that we offer every second year, the new cohort shadows the various volunteer teams in hospice, in hospital, and in the community before determining preference for their own contributions. Suggestions for groups and events are readily forthcoming from our volunteers. And if they align with our strategic framework and reflect the needs of the community, we are game to try new things. It's really a space that we like to create of renewing what we already have in place and building things that are new. So Camilla, can you speak to the various roles available for our volunteers and other contributions that they offer?
Um, so we have volunteers who are part of visiting teams in both the hospital and hospice. We also have a vigil team. We have a community visiting team that we'll go into more detail about soon, where clients are supporting palliative folks in their homes. And then we have volunteers providing one-on-one support for anticipatory grief and bereavement also. Now those are our direct client care opportunities. We have groups as part of that also, and most of our groups are facilitated by volunteers. So a happy hour and death cafe, plus we do a weekly morning coffee and a walking group, and these are all facilitated by volunteers. And then our indirect volunteer opportunities include fundraising, and we have volunteers on the board. But all of our volunteers are our community ambassadors also. And so they're the best advertising, the best, our best supporters. And when our volunteers complete the training, they're encouraged to try out as many roles as possible. Quite often they'll ask, well, you know, where is the greatest need? And my response is always, it doesn't matter where there may be a need. What's most important is that it fills your need. And we want, you know, their time is so precious, and we want to make sure that their experiences are meaningful to them. And so they're encouraged to try out as many roles as they are interested in doing until they find the one that's a perfect fit.
And I must say, so our community hospice and our offices are part of a facility. So there's independent living on one side, there's long-term care on another side, and then we have our beautiful six suites of hospice at the back. And what we notice is the other staff here, it's called Oceanfront Village. Seeing our volunteers in action, seeing our staff in action, has really inspired the long-term care staff to have a more palliative approach to long-term care, and has actually drawn a few residents from the independent living to become volunteers with us. So it's created this lovely community, and that's what our volunteers really, really help us to do. They help us to create community. In the past few years, we have seen an increase in diversity in our volunteer team, in age, genders, orientations, and backgrounds. And volunteering also creates connection and community. The team becomes very close and support each other, even outside of the volunteer space. And Camilla and Tara, can you elaborate on what we have in place to just really foster those connections to each other and to us at Comox Valley Hospice Society?
Well, we have a monthly newsletter that goes out to all of our volunteers, updating them on our programs and services, events coming up, training opportunities. We do a monthly volunteer happy hour, and that's an opportunity for volunteers just to connect with each other. And it's more of a social hour. And then the individual teams, we have bi-monthly meetings, and that's an opportunity to debrief client experiences and to, you know, show support as a group. And they've been really, really invaluable on our volunteers working and feeling as though they are part of a team and truly supported in their roles. Anything else?
No, I think one of the things that's worked really well is in these volunteer team meetings that Camilla hosts every second month is leaving a lot of space for the volunteers to share their own experiences with clients, whether that's in the hospital, in the emergency department, in the community, facilitating groups. that has been one of the things we've received such positive feedback about from the volunteers. They really love hearing from each other and being able to be given a container to support each other. And it really helps build those strong connections. The more supported our volunteers feel, the longer they tend to stay around. I mean, we have someone coming up on 25 years next year, which is
Mhm.
so impressive. And he is just a wonderful ambassador for the whole hospice movement, truly. I guess the other thing you can see, I did want to say, is we do love a play on words here with our morning coffee cafe, our unhappy hour. And I personally think that's also a draw for volunteers because we do bring a little levity to the work as much as we can.
There's definitely a lot of joy and laughter in all of the programs and groups, and that's what keeps us motivated. I think the other thing with the volunteers is that really Camilla, our volunteer coordinator, does just such an amazing job of drawing from them what really motivates them, what is meaningful to them, meaning making to them, and how can that be used in our programs. And so there's a lot of flexibility of how they show up and what they do for us. The other thing that I think is valuable is just offering that ongoing learning opportunities. So there might be specific trainings for specific teams that they're on, and then just general trainings for all of both volunteers and staff to join in. And again, also connecting all of our staff with the volunteers, so they really have that sense of being part of the Comox Valley Hospice Society in its entirety. I think the trainings really inspire again for some, well, let's see, we did this training on scent in the hospice. How can we incorporate that into various programs like our community visiting team, for example? And we know that our volunteers offer a lot of suggestions around training, and we also have some really skilled volunteers that bring their own expertise that we can draw on to offer some workshops and trainings as well. So it's an ongoing thing. It's a very intentional process of keeping that momentum and that connection. We have switched to only doing the training every 2 years because we simply had too many volunteers, and we wanted to make sure that we never have too many volunteers that they can't find a space and time with us that feels meaningful. So every 2 years we have this training, and people find their place in that. Each cohort seems to bring something special. I just noticed in the chat that I missed before the before I die wall. Before I die, I hope to finish my PhD. I'm pretty sure doing a PhD would kill me, so I admire. um, there's also another question. Are your volunteer support meetings integrated across teams with community, palliative, vigil, grief support, etc.?
No. So we have opportunities for our volunteers to come together as a collective, but each team has its own team meeting. So our hospital visiting team, our hospice visiting team, our vigil team, our community visiting team, and then there's our grief allies, and they're specifically our volunteers who provide one-on-one bereavement support. And then our individual group team meetings. So the groups, one thing that is probably worth mentioning, the groups that we offer weekly, we have teams of volunteer facilitators so that it's not the same team facilitating every week. And there's a few reasons behind that. One, to make sure that the volunteers aren't overloaded, overburdened, and that they have built-in supports for each other too, as well as us. But also so that the participants of the group do not become attached to the volunteer facilitators. The purpose of our groups and so much is that participants find connection and community with each other. And we are finding that our volunteer teams are interchangeable and are such a great complement and really supporting and just creating that safe container for the participants to create that space and community with each other as well. So each of our group offerings also has a separate team meeting as well. That's why they're only bi-monthly.
Because we only have one of Camilla. Yeah. I think the other thing about the volunteers is once they've taken the training and they've shadowed the various teams, they may have predetermined what team that they want to be on, but after trying it a couple times, it just is not sitting well for their time in their life or just not what they expected it to be. And so then it's that conversation with Camilla on, so where else can you contribute in our organization? Fundraising being one of the examples. And so I think regardless of where people start, they may end up in a different place when they finish the training. But we work hard to always find a place for them to contribute. They are our ambassadors in the community. They are why people know us in the community. And I must say, from an administrative hat, it certainly helps with fundraising because they are out there and shining stars in parades and all sorts of things. And each week we host Wellness Wednesdays. So we have, again, with our volunteers doing this work, Reiki and Healing Touch by trained volunteers for caregivers, volunteers, staff, bereavement clients, and whoever needs some healing care. Several of our volunteers also offer ongoing soothed and supported guided meditation relaxation sessions open to the community by donations. They are really popular. And again, this acts as a third-party fundraiser for us while offering a low or no-cost service to the community. So again, they come with all of these beautiful skills that they want to share on behalf of us here at the Comox Valley Hospice Society. The need for more caregiver support for families palliating at home led us to look for a partnership to develop another program. In partnership with Hornby Denman Health and through United Way funding, we developed a volunteer-led community visiting program. And Tara Camilla will describe our newly established community visiting team. I just wanted to highlight that this is an example again of these partnerships in the work that we possibly could have done alone, but it's just so much better when we have partners in the community with different agencies. And for that kind of partnership, we're quite grateful. Tara, Camilla?
This was another really fun project to work on. Throughout the years, we've tried different iterations of reaching caregivers, and I'm sure as many people know, it can be quite difficult for them to leave their loved one who's palliating at home, possibly alone, to come to a group or log in online at a certain time. You're inundated with appointments, and so offering the community visiting team has been really exciting as a way for us to go into people's homes and provide that psychosocial support and respite as needed. So we've kept it, and again, we have about 22 volunteers who are engaged with this program who are willing to be paired one-on-one with families out in the community. They can work in, one person paired with one family, or we can have two people if they need a little bit more support, the family. And the volunteers know that when they walk into that home, they are there to provide possibly psychosocial support and care. For the caregiver might be the person who needs it that day, or the caregiver might actually just need respite and need to leave the house to go grab a coffee, grocery shopping, maybe even just to have a shower or go for a walk with a friend. And the only way they're able to leave is knowing that there's a trained, compassionate support and presence in the home sitting with their palliative loved one. And the volunteers can do anything from having conversations, life review projects, reading, or sitting in silence, sitting vigil, holding hands, or sitting in another room if that's what the person needs. But just knowing that they're in the home and holding space makes all the difference. And the other thing that's been really important in providing this offering is the bridge that we're making between the hospital, the community, and possibly hospice. So some of the individuals who've used this program, they may be in and out of the hospital. We have volunteers that visit on the floors in the hospital, in the emergency department. And then some people, yeah, they may go to the hospital and go home. They may choose to die at home. They may end up in hospice, where we also provide psychosocial support. So it feels very like we're providing a good continuity of care, having these touch points at various parts throughout the journey. Do you want to know about the volunteer stuff?
As we were developing the program to really engage the volunteers who were interested in being a part of it, we involved them right from the beginning. We got their initial input on what they envisioned the program to look like. We shared what our vision was. We asked them, potential training opportunities that they were interested in, and to ensure that we set them up for success and that they felt supported. And how often would they like to meet as a team? And what was the other thing? As we developed the assessment criteria, and we gave them kind of a behind the scenes look to make sure that they knew all of the due diligence pieces that we would be doing as we were accepting people into the program. And I think it was really successful. I think it really helped them to feel that they were part of the process of birthing this new program.
And again, the partnership with Denman Hornby or Hornby Denman Health, it helps them fulfill their contract with the United Way, and it gave us this wonderful opportunity to launch this program. So it is a beautiful partnership. I see in the chat there's a question. We have over 70 active volunteers, and the question is, how many younger volunteers do you have under 50? And how have you attracted them?
I would say 10,
At least
15. Yeah. The past couple of years, we've definitely had more younger volunteers interested. I want to say death and dying is becoming trendy. And I think it's drawing a younger crowd. People are more interested in it. More like the participants of our Death Cafe are definitely younger. I think community engagement opportunities like that is increasing visibility to hospice, and that's bringing a younger volunteer group to us. A lot of young participants, even people under the age of 18. They come with their parents, they're really engaged in the process, and they sit at the tables with adults. And the parents are very clear at the beginning. We are comfortable with our kids listening to and hearing about death and dying. And so, it's really interesting opportunity. And I think being more visible in the community. So we do different things throughout the year. We have one of our local donut shops. They do a hospice donut for us. And so we have volunteers at the shop for a full day once a year. We're now in parades. So for the past 3 years, we've been part of our Canada Day parade and our Pride Parade. And then we do for BC Day Long Weekend, we're part of a community event for 3 days. So it's really getting out in the community, having more visibility. And honestly, our volunteers bring heart and compassion to everything that they do. And that involves, direct client work, but also spreading the word in the community, and the joy and the enthusiasm they bring is so clearly evident in everything they do. I think that's what brings it.
And I can speak to also just the people who are doing the work and supporting the volunteers, heart and soul and joy and creativity and spark. And I think it just feels so nurturing and so caring And I think that really draws people. Camilla mentioned some of the activities we do and also in our fundraising activities. And so again, those are opportunities at our fundraisers to talk things up. They see us having fun flipping pancakes for 3 days on this nautical day and see our volunteers there with their t-shirts engaged and chit-chatting with people. It's like, hey, I want to be part of that. And so, I think that really attracts people as well. So I hope that answered your question. So this is just a snapshot of some of the programs and services we offer that reflect the passion and excitement that our staff, volunteers, Island Health Palliative Team, hospice team, and the community at large bring to supporting compassionate palliative end of life and bereavement care and education. Within our community hospice, Aiken Community Hospice here, our local Island Health Palliative Team, Holly, Blair, and Victor, if anybody's listening out there, they're awesome. Our clinical director here for the hospice, Tracy, and then hospice nurses and our team support each other in opportunities to build relationships, trust, and shared learning. And I think that trust speaks also volumes in how volunteers feel well supported here too. I think if there's times when there's been a rough situation, times where there's perhaps not a goodness of fit, that they know that they can come, they can problem solve, they can work through it, both with Camilla and the rest of the staff, but also amongst each other. So the volunteers really support each other, and that's beautiful to see. These are partnerships grounded in community, harnessing the passion and skills of our volunteers to keep our programming fresh, responsive to community needs, and outward facing. So we're kind of, again, there are ears and eyes on the street. So what's happening? What are people asking you about? What are they curious about? What do you think some of the needs are? So that kind of, needs assessment is kind of done through our volunteers in a very active way. So that's the end of our formal presentation, our formal presentation, as we do things around here. So we're just really going to open it up to everyone. We're really just curious about some of the things you may be doing, how you're attracting your volunteers, how you're building community and relationships through your programs and other ways. We would just really love to hear from you.
Can I jump in?
Sure, Tina.
Perfect. I'm so impressed with some of your programming. Some really great ideas, and I'm wondering if it's okay for us to steal some of them, and also to tap into some of your support materials around them.
Guarantee we have stolen from you, probably, Tina. So that's the other thing. This is the beauty of and I'm just going to put a little plug in here for the Vancouver Island Federation of Hospices, right? So there's 12 of us across Vancouver Island. We meet regularly. We just finished our education day, and our motto is don't reinvent the wheel, right? And so we share resources and ideas and problem solve together and all those sorts of things. We are honored to be able to share our materials. So there's our website to see what we have, but also our phone number. And please take and share. That'd be great.
I love that. And one thing I wanted to mention that we are doing, we're starting to build more bridges with unhoused community members and the services that support them. So we attend our regular CAT meetings, community action team meetings. And we're also connecting with the food bank, and one of our volunteers has started volunteering at the food bank to start building relationship. And we'll likely be supporting them with a monthly memorial. And they want to do a memorial wall as well. So so we've gone.
That's awesome, Tina.
It's a work.
We've connected with our community action team and Coalition to End Homelessness, looking at supporting them. They were having monthly grief vigils in front of the art gallery, and So in the fall, we're going to bring the white card from the BC Center for Palliative Care. We're going to screen that and hoping that that's going to be the beginning of solidifying those partnerships. So we've had some conversations. People were pretty much maxed out when we started having those conversations. So I think fall, we're going to bring that conversation back because I think, Tina, absolutely having those, those relationships and really looking at the equitable approach to palliative care that Kelly Stajaha and her team does so well. What we noticed in our physical hospice in the past 2 years was we are getting guests at our hospice who are at end of life and who do not have a home or are precariously housed. And so that's been a great learning experience for us. And how do we make that a welcome space and meet their needs, both with the Island Health Palliative team, the hospice nurses, and our team as well. So thanks for sharing that. The food bank idea is fantastic. Chelsea wrote, for attracting under 50, sounds like a dating thing, under 50. So for attracting under 50, we did targeted volunteer recruitment based on availability to volunteer. This has brought us daytime working volunteers specifically to volunteer on daytime working volunteers, got it, specifically to volunteer on evenings and weekends. Yeah. Yeah, brilliant idea. And I think that's also, to Tina's point too, about, sort of the equitable lens to programming and whatnot is realizing if we're going to make hospice and our services that we offer truly accessible, we need to be able to offer things outside of working hours. So absolutely, Chelsea, and doing that targeted recruitment is a great idea. Could be fun too. It could be like a little dating thing. I'm just saying. Would your slides be available to share with our folks here? Absolutely. Our slides will be available. And again, if you go on our website, you can see some of the things that we're doing. And if there's a specific thing that you're wondering about that Tara, Camilla talked about in terms of a tool or a resource, let us know. Camilla and her team put together and Tara put together these beautiful little vigil packages for volunteers to take with them when they're sitting vigil, and also a beautiful package for our community visiting team, coloring and just some tile things and scents. Some really nice tools. And I think for volunteers going into people's homes or going to people's bedsides, having things to bring is probably quite a comforting thing as well for our volunteers. Yeah. I just have a question for the group. I'm just wondering, post, COVID, I know it seems like a long time ago, but still has this ripple effect. Did you do kind of a recalibration or shift in how you do your programs and offer your services? Did you develop things that look different than it did pre-COVID? You know?
Well, I wasn't involved pre-COVID, so I can't really comment on that. I know that obviously everything went online. Much of what we do has moved back to in person now. But as far as specifics, yeah, I couldn't answer that.
And does anybody else want to share their little, hook that they've used to engage potential volunteers? Do you have a tagline? Do you have like a specific place that you go hang out? How do you lure people in?
We've been lucky not to have to really recruit.
Yeah.
People generally come to us. that could change for sure. But it also means that there could be more diversity. Most of our volunteers are seniors, most are women. So doing some targeting recruitment would probably be a good idea.
Camilla mentioned at our Death Cafe that we have some youngins that belong to one of our volunteers who hosts that. And I think we're doing this in our donor engagement as well. We're really thinking about the next generation and how do we engage the next generation and starting that work now, both in terms of donor engagement, but volunteers as well. And we are getting young people in hospice. We are getting, people in their 30s and in their 40s with children. And so, again, just having that range of volunteers to be able to support a diverse group of clients. And I just missed a one about from Chelsea when I asked, have your programs changed? And Chelsea says, I think our services generally stayed the same, just our growth of services was delayed. Yeah, it took a while to get things back in action. Is there anything else that people would like to share or ask Camilla or Tara? How often did you say you offer your volunteer happy hour? And yeah.
Oh, happy hour is monthly. And that's based on the request of the volunteers. And then we do an appreciation event once a year. And that's normally offsite. And more, yeah. But yes, a monthly opportunity for volunteers to get together and socialize.
I love this question. Do you serve booze at the volunteer happy hours? No, we don't serve booze. They are happy without it. That's funny.
Same with unhappy hour.
Yeah,
Yeah. Who's at unhappy hour?
Right. Yeah. Happy hour is a support group. Yes. With no booze. Our volunteer appreciation event that's coming up. Again, they're usually pretty darn fun, but this one we're doing a Mad Hatter theme. So we're expecting that we have some pretty cool it's coming our way because some of our volunteers are wacky at the best of times. So given the invitation to be mad, I think it's going to be pretty fun. Well, if there are no other questions, we will give you back, 8 minutes in your day. Thank you so much for joining us. It was just really nice to see your faces.
Before people begin to leave, we do have a short survey that will pop up before you leave, as you leave the session and meeting. If you could fill that out for us, that would be great. We will send you a copy of this presentation, recording, and session summary notes and other resources to you within the next 7 days. Thank you again to Camilla, Christine, and Tara for your presentation today. It was very interesting and we really appreciate it. And thank you everyone for joining us. And then I'll pass it back to you to Christine.
Yeah, I know. Just a warm thank you. And happy to share our resources and happy to hear about yours. And it's I think the work that we do, the more that we can just inspire each other, it keeps us motivated. And so thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thanks so much. Bye.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Lisa and Esther.
Yes, thank you. Yeah.